Hey gang, if you're wondering how artists get the gigs and sync placements they get, then this is the episode for you. Ian Mahan joins me and he breaks it down for us. Episode 7 starts now. My name is Alex Rhodes and this is the aptly named Alex Rhodes Show, featuring independent artist interviews, their songs, and sometimes even live performances. We talk about the art, the music, the deep stuff, how it all relates to marketing, and then sometimes we chat all around silliness. This show airs live each week on kpeo.org World Community Radio. That's Mondays from 7 to 9 Mountain Time, 9 to 11 Eastern, 8 to 10 Central, and 6 to 8 Pacific Time. But for you modern-day listeners who don't believe in appointment-based entertainment, I edit the radio show to podcast every week, most weeks. Welcome to episode 7. My guest today is Ian Mahan, a Denver-based singer-songwriter, Tae Kwon Do expert, and all-around nice guy. Ian has performed with notable artists such as Leon Bridges, Vanessa, Carlton, Howie, Lisa Loeb, The Rocket, Summer Parachute, Stu Larsen, Tyler Hilton, Christina, Perri, Lewis Watson, James McCartney, and Joe Brooks. That is a list, my friends. Ian also had a song featured on the Hallmark movie The Christmas Doctor. Which song, you ask? Well, it's the song you're listening to right now. He spent a decade performing and writing music for the sole purpose of connecting to his audience. Ian's acoustic-style songs with melodies ranging from mellow to upbeat are marked by characteristic lyrical vulnerability. That's not just hard to say, it's hard to do, and he pulls it off. Ian attended piano lessons from a young age, but he didn't find his true instrumental passion until his 18-year-old self picked up a guitar. Ian's high school and college years were spent exploring music in the form of countless different bands, ultimately establishing himself as a solo artist in 2008. We talk about those days, the piano, the guitar, and all of those bands in this interview. In 2017, Ian's 6-song EP, Rockford, showcased his evolving musical style grounded in emotional transparency and whispery acoustics. You can find Ian on Instagram at It's Ian Mahan and online at ianmahan.com. That's IANMAHAN. Let's get to the interview now. Ian Mahan, Forever in Your Heart, on kpeo.org. It's the Alex Rhodes Show. It's Monday night, 7 o'clock Mountain. Thanks for tuning in. As luck would have it, right here in the studio, Ian Mahan is with us.
Hey, how's it going?
It's great, man. How are you?
Doing good. Yeah, it's really cold out there, and I don't love it right now.
Yeah, so it took us a minute to get in the studio tonight, just so everyone knows. And Ian texted me, I'm here. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm not in quite yet. I'll be right there. And then I realized that he was standing outside in the car. I was like, no, get back in your car.
I was only standing out there for a few minutes. And then I was like, yeah. You know, and it's crazy. Like, you know, I'm from Illinois. And so weather like this isn't usually a big deal for me. And then it becomes a big deal because I've gotten older since I've left Illinois. And now I'm like, man, it's just bad on the bones, and it's
gets
brittle.
To the bone.
Oh, it's so brittle. And just like, this doesn't feel good anymore. So I don't love it, but it's, yeah, you know what? And it's like you were saying, if it's going to be this cold, just snow a foot. Let everybody stay inside.
It's just cold for no good reason.
It's cold and not good anymore, yeah. And, and my wife and I, we have this house that, it was built in the 1950s, and so we have to drip the faucets when it gets this cold.
Oh, wow, okay.
We got to pull the full-on Midwestern cold prevention, so it's kind of fun, but, you know, that's where we're at tonight. It's cold, but I'm happy to be in this really warm studio, so Thank you for having me.
So I grew up in the rural South, so it rarely got very cold, but we had a well. So when it got really cold, there was a pump house, and you had to turn a light on in the pump house and do the water thing where it just drips a little bit so that
That's like a foreign concept to me. I have almost zero idea what you just described, but I can kind of see it. Like, I mean, rural South. I mean,
so you have instead of being on city water, you have a well that pumps it up.
Yeah, there's places like that here. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a little house a little housing thing. But it'll get really cold in there, obviously, and that's where the water reaches the surface to get to the house, and you got to keep that warm or else.
Yeah.
Bad news.
That's not great.
No, it's not. Well, now we're in Rockford, or we're in Illinois. I know
well, yeah, from Rockford.
Where is that in Illinois?
It's like the most northern tip
okay, so
of the state.
You are cold.
Yeah. Basically, anybody who is like, if anybody ever says to me they know where Rockford is, I'm like, oh, you were just going to Milwaukee. That's the only reason.
I've been to Milwaukee.
Right, so if you've driven from Chicago to Milwaukee at all, you've driven through Rockford.
I went Milwaukee to Woodstock.
Yeah, you had to go through Rockford to get there. Yeah, because Woodstock's just it's a little bit west of Rockford.
Okay.
So you have to kind of come down that corridor.
And that's where
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day was filmed.
Yeah, Groundhog Day. Yeah. Which, fantastic. I mean, really anything.
Bill Murray.
Yeah,
he's pretty funny.
Anything he does, and he's so good in everything he does, and it's fun that Illinois has kind of adopted him as, it's like famous people from Illinois. It's like Abraham Lincoln, Michael Jordan, and then I think like Bill Murray, probably.
Bill Murray's in good company there.
Yeah, I mean, it's Lincoln, Jordan, Bill Murray. I don't know. I can't really think.
Because I'm a North Carolina guy, so Michael Jordan.
I guess I have to bump them all for Barack. It's like everybody gets notched down a peg, and but yeah, I mean, Bill Murray's in good company.
Very good company.
And that movie's fine. It's not top 10, I think, for things he's done, but
it's very watchable. Andy McDowell.
Super, super watchable. Yeah, that movie is how I felt during the pandemic, where I was just waking up and doing the same thing.
I think I'm still in that.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, this is not great. But
now, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Sure.
Soundtrack for Groundhog Day. Was there a notable release off of that?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty deep. Okay,
yeah,
we'll skip right over that.
That one doesn't. That soundtrack doesn't resonate for me.
I feel like "Forever in Your Heart" could have been right there at the end.
Maybe
bring that in right when he's being a decent human.
Yeah, I just was born like 30 years too late.
Yeah.
So
now, did you move around a lot, or did you were always in Rockford and then you moved to Denver?
Yeah, it was Illinois and then straight to Colorado.
All right.
I've been here quite some time. Most people like to adopt a native status. I'm one of those people that's like really proud to be from where they're from. Like, I'm from Illinois. I root for Illinois sports teams. I fair weather adopt Denver sports teams. I know that's not fair, but yeah, I mean, it's like I've been here so long, and I have a bunch of friends that are Broncos fans, and they're like, "Why don't you root for the Broncos?" I'm like, I don't want to root for the Broncos. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like, I like how bad the Bears have been. I like how bad the Cubs have been up until 2016, and now they're back to being bad again, so it's fine.
Now, did you have the cool sunglasses like McMahon from the Bears back in the day?
No, I do have a Mike Ditka sweater though.
Okay,
the one that he's like always seen wearing in the sidelines,
where he's giving people the finger.
Yeah, and he's got the sweater vest version of it. I got the full sweater because I don't have an extra 75 pounds like Mike Ditka does.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's a good sweater. It's pretty warm. My wife steals it sometimes.
Yeah.
She doesn't care about sports. So
Wool? Or are
it is wool.
A wool?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's a wool sweater.
Excellent.
But it's like that softer wool. It's not like an Irish wool sweater.
Like a nice merino.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
We're going fashion.
We're going fashion
on this show tonight.
Fashion tonight.
Now, did you play a lot of music growing up, or how did you get to become doing this?
Oh, that's a deep cut question. No.
Yes.
So I didn't. My mom always made sure that I was like in piano lessons, and she always made sure that I, kind of was, as she liked to put it, well-rounded. Like you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, and so I took piano lessons from like the age of 6 and basically throughout high school. But I did not play a lot of music until like my junior-ish, senior year of high school. So when I was younger, I was really heavily involved in martial arts, in Tae Kwon Do.
Nice.
And I screwed up my knee, and, when you're recovering from a knee surgery, you can't really move around a lot. So sat down at the piano, wrote my first song. It was horrible. But just kind of was like, oh, I guess I can continue to try doing this. And, started playing, and then played in some bands in college. And at some point in college, I was like, I think I want to give this a shot. Maybe just trying to do it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Played some open mics.
Now, were you playing guitar then, or did you pick that up later?
Yeah. So I've actually never taken a guitar lesson in my life. I taught myself how to play.
Mm-hmm.
I think piano is kind of a good base for maybe trying to teach yourself how to play other things. And so just having, kind of a general knowledge of how to play the piano, it made sense to try to teach myself how to play guitar. So senior year of high school, my mom got me this little Ibanez guitar, an acoustic guitar for Christmas, and I kind of learned and was trying to learn all the radio songs that were on the radio in 2006.
Nice.
And so I was playing guitar and trying to do the singer-songwriter thing for a while.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to make light of your knee injury.
No, it's cool.
But was it like a Karate Kid kind of thing where you had to do the crane kick
to
win the tournament?
No. It's just kind of a fluke. And when I was younger, I was diagnosed with degenerative arthritis in my knees. And when you're gunning for, Olympic prominence, which is what I was trying to do. I was trying to make the Olympics for Taekwondo, and you live that sport. So for me, my days were like, 2 hours in the morning of training before school, go to school, immediately go back to the gym, train for 3 hours, go home, do homework, rinse and repeat.
And how old are you when you're doing this?
So I started at the age of 8, and I kept going.
Did you know you wanted to compete at that level at age 8, or how does that come about? Because that's a serious commitment.
Yeah. So when I was 8, I wanted to be a Power Ranger.
Okay.
But who doesn't want to be a Power Ranger at the age of 8? And so as I got a little bit older and started to compete, my coach kind of pulled my mom aside and said, "Hey, there's something here. He can do this." And it's super humbling for somebody to see that in you in the first place. So, so I competed junior Olympic level, collegiate level, and just kind of a freak accident, and there it goes, and that's how things happen, I guess. One door closes, another one opens.
So you're sitting down at your piano with a busted knee. You write this horrible song.
Oh, it's terrible.
Do you remember the lyrics?
Oh, yeah. There's a recording of it somewhere.
Yes.
I
wish we had that on this program.
No, it's not. No, it will not be shared. But yeah, so It's like I think there is a recording because I did release an EP years back before I really got serious about marketing myself.
All right.
As an artist, and those 5 songs got scrapped, which is unfortunate because my best friend actually tracked that. We tracked it with one mic in a church, and he's such an incredible engineer and producer. He did such a good job that I felt bad that the songs were so bad that that's what he had to work with. And so it was a Bluebird microphone.
Oh, okay. It's a nice mic.
Yeah, it was a great mic, but it was the one mic we had. We tracked drums with it, acoustic, vocals, everything just on that one mic, and we did the best we could. I just felt bad because the songs were...
And how old were you when you were doing this?
Fresh out of college when we did that. So, and then probably about 4 years later, I kind of scrapped those, and I had a set of songs that I was really proud of. Mm-hmm. And started working on those with a friend of mine, Randall Kent. He lives in Nashville. He was a pretty big staple of the Denver music scene for a while. He played in a band called The Heyday, and they were, pretty big, pretty prominent here in Denver, and toured pretty regularly. And kind of toured in the college scene as well. And I don't know if you remember like that phase in like, the late 2000s, early 2010s when like bands could actually like make a living playing in the college scene.
Oh yeah,
like, just like showing up playing. And so that's what they were doing. Since then, Randy, he's moved to Nashville, and he's pretty prominent in like sync licensing and placements. Just does some really incredible work kind of down that avenue, and does a lot of co-writing. So, and
that did he record "Forever in Your Heart"?
Yeah,
which we just listened to. Awesome.
Yeah, so that song was was fun. I kind of brought it down. I wrote the song about my mom, which, my mom's fine. She's alive and healthy and good.
Good.
Yeah, we like that. I feel like I have to preface that because if anybody was listening to that, then it's like, oh, is everything okay? Yes, she's fine. She's great. She just got a puppy. And I had the lyrics, and Randy and I were working on that, and we went out. This was probably 2016 when I wrote the song, and then we were out one night in Nashville. I would usually go down there and like segue a work trip into like a recording trip for the weekend, and so don't tell anyone. But
it's an awesome trip.
Yeah. It was a great trip, and so we were at a brewery, and he got a brief from his publishing company, and the brief kind of was like, it kind of suited what we were working on, and he was like, what do you think if we just maybe get this done? And I was like, yeah, it sounds great. And so we cranked it out. Randy did a lot of incredible work on it to get it ready, and we pitched it, and ultimately it didn't get used for that, but it did get used for other things later down the road. So
so you got a sync placement from that song, which is huge.
Yeah. It got used for a Hallmark movie in 2020.
Nice.
The movie's called The Christmas Doctor.
Is Candace Cameron in it?
No. Holly Robinson Pete is in it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't watch a whole lot of Hallmark movies, but I watched it. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. Hallmark. Yeah.
I got a confession to make. I the whole thing around Christmas, it gets really blown up, and it's not really my thing. But yeah. I'm fine sitting down and watching some bad Hallmark Christmas movies.
I was going to wonder how you knew DJ Tanner was on.
She's on like every one. Every single one.
Yeah, she is. And then so is Lacey Chabert, who plays Gretchen Wiener, right? In Mean Girls. Yeah. She's in a lot of them.
There's a solid career path for people. If that's the kind of route you want to take with your acting, once a year, boom.
I'm in.
I'd be happy to play songs in those movies.
I would be happy to be the deli owner in those movies.
There's a deli owner, a veterinarian. It's one.
Well, the vet is usually, somebody like the veterinarian is usually one of
That's the love interest.
Yeah, that's the love interest. Like the deli owner is just the guy that, is
everybody likes.
Yeah, who knows the tormented main character's life story and is like, oh, I got your coffee ready for you just how you like it.
Caramel macchiato coming up.
That's my goal. Everyone is like, I want to be front and center. No, not me. No. Did you ever watch Gilmore Girls?
I've seen the show. I wasn't like a giant fan, but yeah, I know it was a big show.
There's a character, I forget his name, but he's kind of like the town jester.
Okay.
And like every so often you see him just like hanging out in town square playing guitar or like selling newspapers or shoveling. Like that's my level of stardom. Like that I'm super comfortable with. It's not.
It seems fitting though to have you. You could be like Vonda Shepard in Ally McBeal, where she's a recurring character. But I mean, all those sync placements.
Yeah.
My mom and dad have possibly every Vonda Shepard Christmas album that has ever been made.
Sometimes, you know what? Look, if you can capitalize on a holiday, Mariah Carey has done it beautifully. It's just nobody who's done it better.
Nobody has done it better than Mariah Carey.
Like if you can capitalize on just a little thing, especially in the entertainment industry, there's something there for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of talk about music. You want to play a song for us real quick?
If you'd like, I'd happy to, or yeah, sure, why not?
I want you to feel comfortable.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I got one for you.
All right. Ian Mahan.
All right. This is an older one. Cool. It's called Bet and Pray. Bet she's walking down the main street, stepping over the cracks. Bet she's soaking up the sunlight, sipping cold ones while she laughs. I bet she's listening to Springsteen while she's chasing her dreams. White picket fence in front of her house. Well, I hope she's dreaming about me. And I just wanna be by her now. And oh, she stops the room. And I hope she hopes I get there soon. When I look at her, lightning strikes. I see sparks fly in her eyes, and I pray, she prays low, making mine. Bet she's dancing in the moonlight in that sweet old Denver air. Bet she's getting dressed up just right, with a flower in her hair. And I just wanna be by her now. And oh, she stops the room. And I hope she hopes I get there soon. When I look at her, lightning strikes. I see sparks fly in her eyes, and I pray, she prays, Lord, making mine. just wanna be by her now. And I wanna kiss her lips somehow. And I just wanna be by her now. And I wanna feel her heart somehow. And oh, she stops the room. And I hope she hopes I get there soon. When I look at her, lightning strikes. I see sparks fly in her eyes. And I pray, she prays, Lord, make it mine. Hey, thanks.
Hey, great song. Tell us what the name of that is.
It's called Bet and Pray.
Bet and Pray.
Yeah, you can find it on streaming services or wherever you listen to music.
On the Spotify.
Yeah, or the Apple Music, or I think even Napster, because Napster has the highest streaming royalty rates now.
That's
so
right.
if you want to get a
Let's
Napster
push
subscription.
Napster for streaming. Or you can even listen. I don't think we have that file, but
No, but I could.
we are playing some Ian Mahan music on KPEO. And it's IANMAHAN, so everyone knows how to spell it.
Yep. It's like the golfer, Hunter Mahan.
Ah, okay.
Actually, my mom's second cousin is a famous rodeo cowboy. And like he has his own like cowboy boot line, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie No Country for Old Men?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a scene where Javier Bardem walks into a convenience store and first thing he says, I need some size 9 Larry Mahans, and that's
Nice.
yeah. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool.
That's really
Yeah,
cool.
there's something there, but
Now, this brings me to something interesting.
Okay.
Footwear. We already talked a little bit about fashion.
yeah.
Do you have a pair of these boots?
No, I don't.
You're not a cowboy boot?
No, I think cowboy boots are horribly uncomfortable.
I can see that.
They're just not, you know.
I have a pair of ropers myself.
Yeah, you know,
They
look,
aren't very comfortable.
it's cool. I know people who swear by them, but I'm like, man, I just can't do it.
Is it a thing where you need to break them in?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you definitely have to break them in. Just like with any leather shoe, it's got to be broken in.
Yeah.
You know, and eventually it forms to your foot. But I feel like that period of like break-in, like I don't have any kids now, but I feel like by the time I got around to breaking in a pair of cowboy boots, they'd be in college or something. Like, it's so, man, it is a drag. And there was this movie once upon a time called Dances with Wolves. It had
Yeah.
Kevin Costner in it.
Yeah.
And there's this scene where, like, he has to, like, rip off cowboy boots because his, like, foot is infected. And maybe that has just, like, stuck with me forever.
There's
of,
some
like,
trauma built up
yeah,
from that
like,
scene.
you know, because I haven't seen that movie since I was maybe 8 or 9. And I'm just like, man, I don't know that I want to wear those shoes. Those shoes look horrible. They look
Kevin
so
Costner's infected foot.
yeah.
Fictional
Fictional
foot.
infected foot. I don't know. Maybe he had a real foot infection and they wrote it into the script. I don't know. I'm not trying to drag on Kevin Costner right now. But
I have zero beef with Kevin Costner.
no. He gave us Waterworld.
Yeah.
Easily one of the greatest movies of all time.
Sure. It wasn't that bad. It got a really bad
It's
rap.
so bad. What are
It
you
wasn't
talking
terrible.
about? He has fake gills on the back of his ears.
It's believable.
If you haven't seen it, don't go down this hole and watch
Gene
it.
Triplehorn. Okay. But you are a sneakerhead.
I am, yeah. Yeah, I love
Now-
sneakers.
I thought I was a sneakerhead
Sure.
until I looked into this world, and it is fascinating. Can you tell us a little bit about the sneakerhead world?
Man, I am so like even out of my depth for actual sneakerheads. My stance on it is I know what I like, and I like certain silhouettes in shoes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's sneaker shopping on Complex with Joe LaPuma. It's a YouTube series, and he has celebrities come on, and they talk about shoes that really mattered to them growing up, like things they liked, you know, and obviously he's talking to celebrities, so like the conversation is always like, oh, I never could have those shoes, but now Nike gives me free stuff all the time. So,
Yeah.
Which that's definitely not my life. Nike, if anyone who works for Nike is listening and wants to send some, Air Jordan Black Cements, Air Jordan 3s, send 2 pairs, a 10.5 and an 11.
Yeah.
Or two 11s.
And
I think
Jordan 4 and Jordan 5 as well.
Yeah.
And if you have them in light blue, that'd be great.
There you go. We just plugged an entire Nike catalog. But, no, so, I do, there's some people that are so into it that are just a little bit too over the top, and, they're mortgaging their future in their house and, going thousands of dollars into debt to do it. I like sneakers, but I only like the kind that I like. So, I'm pretty picky. Jordan 3s are some of the best silhouettes to me. Jordan 1s are great. But I also kind of like under the radar sneakers. I have some Vans that are Chicago Cubs themed.
Nice. Did you make those yourself? Because I know the Vans site. You can.
Yeah, no. Actually, MLB and Vans did a collaboration. So I have a high top pair and then a low top lace up pair, which is great. And then I have a pair of Vans slip-ons that are Spider-Man themed. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, super geeky.
Even Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Especially Tobey Maguire's?
No. I've got a theory on all the Spider-Man that we can get into. But
save that for the third segment.
Yeah. But I've got a pair of orange Netherlands branded Converse All-Star high tops. My dad is from the Netherlands, so and he's really into soccer and transient property. So am I. So it's one of those things where I like what I like, and I love like I said, under the radar ones like Converse All-Star still.
It's a great shoe.
It's a great shoe. It stood the test of time. Vans slip-ons, Vans, Authentics, stand the test of time. I had Adidas Rod Lavers, old tennis shoes.
I had those. What color did you? Because they were white, but they made them in green and navy.
So I have a pair of white with green.
I had the navy.
Okay, yeah. And then Adidas Top 10s, which they're super OG court shoe.
Okay.
Beautiful. Johnny Knoxville wears them a lot. They're kind of his go-to shoe.
Now, do you wear these out?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
see some of these, I've looked at these Jordans that I really want. They're $450. I'm like, I couldn't in good conscience step out of my house.
No,
with
you
those
have to.
on.
You have to.
But if they're $450,
no, you still got to. That's memorializing something that I don't think is meant to be memorialized.
Yeah, okay. Because that was my question.
Yeah.
It would be great to put them on a shelf, but then what's the point of me buying the shoe?
Right, because then nobody's going to see those cool shoes. So
maybe I need to take up basketball again. And
maybe. Well, and musicians, it's funny. There's certain musicians and certain actors that you wouldn't anticipate being really into shoes that are super into shoes. Ed Sheeran was on a recent episode of Sneaker Shopping, Jill Okuma, and he actually talks about that very thing. If you have a nice car, you should drive it. If you have a nice watch, wear it. You have a nice bottle of wine, drink it. And if you have a nice pair of shoes, wear them. And Ed Sheeran is a huge sneakerhead, and he's got shoes that there's one of one made.
Yeah.
Macklemore gave him a pair of shoes, and Macklemore was like, if you ever sell these, I'll know. It's wow, that's horrifying. But Jason Sudeikis, another person with a great shoe game, just an excellent shoe game. And, he has that same mentality. He wears them. And then sometimes he'll even buy pairs, wear them a couple times and gift them. And
see, I like that.
Yeah. That's such a cool, thought process, and there is something creative about, I think, being into the sneaker game. There's something creative about it, and it's
Well, yeah. I appreciate for me, I look at visual art, and I don't understand all the processes that go into it. But when I see something that really evokes some emotion, I dig into it and I want to know,
Yeah.
like, what was your thought process going in? It just gives me this appreciation for it. And I feel like
Yeah.
fashion, sneakers, etc., that plays right in. You're a creative, and I find that really interesting.
Yeah. There's a so Jeff Goldblum has his own show on Disney Plus, and he's got an episode where he examines sneaker culture, and that's pretty cool. And then
Oh, I'll have to. I have Disney. I have 2 kids. So I
yeah,
have a
well,
lot of
you have to have
Plus.
Disney. Yeah, you have to. If you don't, what are you doing?
What kind of parent am I?
Yeah, what kind of parent? And there's an episode where he like goes to a sneakers convention and like meets some of the greatest minds about it. And then, man, I'm forgetting the name of it, but there's a show I watched recently, and actually my wife put it on because she was like, I think you're going to like this episode. And it was about sneakers, and it was about Tinker Hatfield, who's one of the premier and foremost shoe designers at Nike. And he's responsible for the Air Jordan line, as we know.
Kind of a big responsibility.
Yeah, kind of a big responsibility, because after the Jordan 1s, the 2s didn't sell so great. So they brought in Tinker, and Tinker developed the 3 and on.
And it's been a gold mine ever since.
Yeah. I mean,
They just look so good.
They all do, except
They're
for,
iconic.
Except
I mean,
for
there are
the
a couple that,
Yeah, the 15 is really bad, and it also happens to be Billie Eilish's favorite Jordan shoe, and I don't love Billie Eilish's music. I'm sorry, Billie, you're just not doing it for me, and I should have known.
What is it that doesn't do it for you with Billie Eilish's music?
Yeah, so I'm like,
It's not super melodic, but the production is finesse.
No, but I saw the original Avril Lavigne. I don't need a reaction.
Why you gotta go and make things so complicated?
But however, I should have known that Billy and I would have beef based on her choice in Air Jordan shoe. She likes the 15, and the 15s are not good.
Now, did you watch the All-Star game last night, NBA?
I did, yeah.
Steph Curry.
Oh, he's insane.
Suddenly, this became a sports show. It's okay. That was ridiculous.
Oh,
I just love watching people perform at an incredible level.
Yeah, I do too. I'm a huge fan of greatness, and maybe that's a byproduct of living in Illinois in the '90s when Michael Jordan was playing.
Yeah.
And it's so cool watching all the greats around Michael. Like, there's a different kind of cadence that they all carry when they talk to him. And if that doesn't tell you who the greatest of all time is, then I don't know what will.
Well, it was so interesting when they were announcing the 75 greatest players, and they had them all in the circle, and then
he's the last one.
He's the last one. And even I, seeing these amazing players, I was like, Jordan showed up for that? Wow, because he's a complete different level than everyone.
He was at a NASCAR event. He owns a NASCAR team, and he was at a NASCAR event earlier in the day. He almost missed it.
Gosh.
But yeah, no, I like watching greatness, and I think that applies like not only through sports but music too. And there's people ask me who like my favorite band or artist is.
Yeah,
and
we're gonna get to that.
Yeah,
tell us.
Yeah, it's so hard to pick because so many people are so great at so many different things, and I like watching greatness. I just love watching it, and it cripples me when people are like, I want to see the great ones fail. That's what kills me.
No, I've never wanted to see someone fail. I had a moment this year, and it's a shame. Tom Brady retired.
Yeah, you're gonna drag my boy, huh?
There's a backstory.
All right.
I never liked Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there and I'm watching one of these Subway commercials, and I'm like, the guy's really funny.
He got you.
He's good looking. He's a champion. What is it that I don't like about this guy? And it came down to, I'm just completely jealous of him.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I like Tom Brady now.
Sure.
And then, of course, he retires.
Yeah. Well,
so now I'm back to not liking him.
Okay. Well, think about 21 years ago, though.
But I never cheered against him. I just...
Right.
Yeah.
And in fact, 21 years ago in a Super Bowl, if you were into football then, to the level that some people are now, like 21 years ago in his first Super Bowl, you were probably rooting for him because he was the underdog.
Exactly.
And it's like people don't realize that, like Michael Jordan didn't become Michael Jordan overnight.
Yeah.
You know, there was a story of Michael Jordan before he became that. There was a story of Tom Brady before he became that. You know, a story of LeBron James. Like, I'm not the biggest LeBron James fan, but, I mean, it's hard to argue. You know, he's great. He is one of the great ones. And it's like, well...
Jordan or LeBron?
Oh, it's Jordan.
Okay.
It's
correct.
It's what do you do with the opportunities? You know, Jordan never lost to finals. LeBron's lost one too many finals.
Yeah.
You know, so.
All right. So all that brings us back to music. I'm not sure how.
Sure.
But it'll bring us back to music with...
Oh, totally.
So, and I had this conversation with Seth Beamer last week because he was, as he said, forced into violin. Now, you said you were playing piano at 6. Mm-hmm. Did you like it?
No, I hated it. I was just doing the bare minimum to get by in every lesson.
Why did you keep doing it? Or did you have that conversation with your parents ever about, I don't want to do this?
Yeah, I mean, and this is, sometimes in life you have one of those moments where it's like, man, if I had just put in a little more effort, I probably would have been really, really good at something. Mm-hmm. I was always really exceptionally good at only doing what I needed to do to get by.
I think a lot of people can relate to
and that is a bummer. You know, like I learned the basics of piano and I can sit down, I can work out a tune and, you know, but I'm not a virtuoso. You know, I have so many friends that are so talented. Andy Sito's an incredible piano player. He's one of the best piano players I've ever seen. My good friend Hannah Beagley in Melodies, she's an incredible pianist. Her husband Austin, he's an incredible guitar player. And I'm like, man, if I had just like devoted a little more time into trying to be so much better at something. But I also think it kind of goes back to, you know, my early relationship with martial arts and sports is I spent a ton of time doing that. And I got my heart broken. And so I think maybe there was this mental thing that kind of kicked in where it was like, well, if you're just adequately good enough at all of this, you know, including schoolwork, you know, homework, like grades, you know, and like I was a straight A student all throughout high school. And then I was at college and I was like, nobody cares.
Your story is lining up very similarly to mine. Not the Tae Kwon Do part.
Yeah. But, you know, I was just like, you know, I was so, and then all of a sudden I was like, man, this is not all right, you know. And my mom was always like, you know, get your degree and then you can do whatever you want. I was like, cool, great, that's a deal. So that's what I did. And then I started doing whatever I wanted. But, you know, I think like I was only just so interested in just doing what I needed to do to get by. So, yeah, and then hilarity ensues. Attempted music career.
All right. Well, let's listen to a song and we'll come back and talk about the hilarity that has ensued.
Yeah.
This one is Remember the Times. Ian Mahan on kpeo.org.
This is why you work so hard to pay the mortgage. Because home is more than four walls and a roof. It's that porch swing on a summer evening. It's everybody over for Sunday dinner. And your family sleeping in their own beds at night. Making Home Affordable is a free government resource that can make paying the mortgage easier. Call 888-995-HOPE or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov.
Good night, Mama.
This is why. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Romy Conson, pop rock singer from Belgium. You are listening to KPEO World Community Radio.
You are listening to the Alex Rhodes Show, broadcasting live from Denver, Colorado, and Toronto, Canada. This is KPEO World Community Radio.
Always down for trouble on a school night. Football games and movies, it was a simple life. As time went on, I realized I was wrong for you. Built like my old man, I could never see it through. And when you walked away, did you still but you can't say the same. Does your heart remember my name? Does your heart remember my name? 1,500 miles wasn't far enough. Still a box in my closet of all that high school stuff. Heard you settled down with a straight-laced man with no imagination, but a hell of a 5-year plan. And when you walked away, did you still look back on me? Remember the times that we gave into what we need? I never moved on, but you can't say the same. Does your heart remember my name? Does your heart remember my name? When you walked away, did you still look back on me? Remember times that we gave into what we need? I never moved on, but you can't say the same. Does your heart remember my name? Does your heart remember my name? Does your heart remember my name?
Remember the times. Ian Mahan on kpeo.org. Ian's here with us tonight.
Howdy.
Thanks again for coming by and waiting in the cold.
Thanks for having me.
And we've talked about Tae Kwon Do.
Yeah.
We've talked about sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about different types of wool.
Yeah, merino and Irish.
Let's let's talk about cashmere. No, let's talk about releases, because you released a song that we have coming up later. Why Did It Have to Be Me? You released that in the last few months. Tell us about releasing music, marketing, and your strategy in that, and how to make it work.
Yeah. So I put out a new EP called Some Sad Songs. Remember the Times is on it, the song you just heard, and then Why Did It Have to Be is on it. And I put that out on my birthday in October last year, and then I kind of followed it up a month later with a remix EP that my brother did all the remixes for. And he's a pretty accomplished electronic artist in Canada. Has opened for R.L. Grime and has done some pretty cool stuff, and he's got quite the name. But he loves messing with my songs every so often. I drop him the dry vocal stems, and I'm like, all right, here you go, and he goes nuts on it. He goes by the artist name Certain. That's Cerdin. I figured I should give him a shout there.
Yeah.
Hey, Harrison.
Little bro. Congratulations.
Yeah, little
to
bro.
him.
So I my approach to marketing and releasing music, I think, is really different than some artists, maybe all of them. I don't use Facebook, and I know Facebook is still super important for artists and for promoting, but I couldn't do it anymore. Too many fake grandparents, I think, just still use it. No, I had to make a conscious effort. I'm one of those people. When I care about something, I'm pretty passionate about it. I care a lot, maybe too much sometimes. I like I love sports discourse. I will argue to death about like sporting feelings or opinions that I have. You know, and Facebook is kind of a breeding ground for that. And so is Twitter. Twitter, I engage hardly at all with things like that. But also, you know, the election was coming around in 2020. And so summer of 2020, I was like, I don't want to be on here at all for any of it that's coming because I know it's coming. And I just don't want to have that kind of discourse anymore. And so got rid of Facebook, haven't been back, and it's great. It's cleared up a lot of mental space. So I'm like, man, what would happen if I got rid of all my social media? Well, then nobody would care or know that I was releasing anything ever. So
Yeah.
it's I'm pining for the day when social media matters less to musicians, but I think we're stuck. I'm
not sure when that happens, or
I'm not either.
it's strange though because Billie Eilish, as an example, she has like 500 million Instagram followers.
Yeah.
She got this $1 million advance for a book.
Yeah.
And then she only sold like 60,000 copies of it.
Right.
And the publisher's sitting there scratching.
Bots are real.
Hit.
Bots are real.
You know, how you know, so does it even matter? You know, yeah, you're there and you're present, but
yeah,
does that matter for ticket sales or merch, etc.?
You know, I found it doesn't really translate. You know, I have, you know, for an indie musician who doesn't really play a whole lot or like really push that, it's like I have 900 Instagram followers, but I don't really use social media as a way to like get people to care about the things I've done or to come to shows. And, you know, if I have a show coming up and, you know, if it's a show where selling tickets is a thing, you know, I'll text people and say, hey, like, I have this coming up. Would love to see you. Drop them the link, you know, and depending on my familiarity level with that person, you know, try to interject how are things, by the way, as well. Like, you know.
I got a text from you or a DM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just, you know, hey, like, hope things are well. You know, what are you doing? What do you have coming up? You know, especially if it's another artist. And so I think reciprocity is a thing that some creatives, musicians, artists, actors, what have you, are missing sometimes. I think it's something that is missing from human engagement, even.
Yeah.
Like, what can you do for me? Well, okay, what can we do for each other? You know, it's like, hey, I would much rather promote, you know, something that a friend has going on or something like that than like try to shove what I have going on down their throats, because that's way less fun for me. I don't even. Sometimes I release music, I don't even want anybody to listen to it because I'm like, no, I don't want you to tell me what you think about this.
Well, why do we do that as creatives? Because you created this thing, and obviously you spent enough time and enough effort and emotion and skill into it to get it to a finished product, and then you say, do I want to put this out there? Do I want to hear what you have to say about it, world?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for everybody. I just know I don't like myself very much now. So, no, I mean...
You're a great person, Ian.
I appreciate it. Thank you. No, I don't know why. I have a feeling, maybe I'm speaking for the general consensus of musicians out there, but... And maybe this goes for artists in general. Maybe all art, or a good majority of it, is born out of rejection. And so when that first rejection happens, you dig your heels in and you dig and dig and dig and dig and dig. And you keep going after that rejection. And so I think maybe like putting things out is another possible rejection, and it makes people nervous. And you know, it's amazing when anybody listens to anything I put out. It's great, but you know, as afraid as I am of Rejection, there are the moments when I'm like, okay, I'm glad I did this. My sister-in-law, she plays one of my songs for my niece all the time. And
Oh, that's great.
and it's so funny because she doesn't have a concept of the musical melody, really. But every time she hears my voice, she'll go, Uncle Ian's song, Uncle Ian's song. And to me, it's like,
That's huge.
man, that's cool. Like, that's not going to get me any closer to a record deal or the Grammys or whatever. But, that's almost the root of, like, I think why any of us want to write something, so that it connects to one person, whether it's a 3-year-old or, or a 50-year-old. And
Well, I think what you were saying about you're basically opening yourself up for judgment when you put it out there.
100%.
And it's kind of like in work, in your typical 9-to-5 job, you do your work and you present it to your boss.
Mm-hmm.
In this work, you do your work and you present it, and everyone is your boss,
Yeah.
ready to cast judgment. And that can be intimidating.
or to tell you that you stink, just quit, give up, don't do this again.
Yeah. Don't
Never-
quit your day job.
Yeah, don't quit your day job. Never sing like that again. Nobody drop the falsettos. So on and so forth. But yeah, no, that's a great way to do it. You do your day job, you present your work, and it's going to your boss. You make art and you put it out, and it's going to the general public. And I think what a lot of people, man, even being an artist nowadays, I think it's more terrifying to be an artist now because the general public, as of late, is just not very nice
Yeah.
anymore. People don't really seem to like each other anymore, and that is a bummer.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that artists are still wanting to put art out, and that is a terrifying concept. It's like if people continue down this road of continuing to be so upset with each other and so mean to each other and so mean-spirited and unsupportive, what does that do to the arts? What does that do for people who are willing to express things, And we all, we're still going through it, but we just went through 2 of the hardest years of people's lives in human history and mental health. And where did people turn to? They turned to music, they turned to TV, they turned to movies, to pass the time, to get through it. And here we are ripping that apart and ripping those things apart and saying, this stunk, this was good, this was amazing, never do that. I never want to see this actor again. I never want to hear this songwriter ever again. And it's like, well, what are you hoping for?
Yeah. Not everything is going to be a 10 out of 10.
No. I'm aiming for, if everything I release is a 7 out of 10, I'm happy. Or as Sonny Lubick used to say at CSU, D's get degrees. So if it's a 6 out of 10, I'm happy.
D's get degrees. I should have had him talk to my parents.
He was an old football coach, so D's did get degrees for his purposes, yeah.
Well, it's interesting what you're saying about, society and everyone being mean to each other. It seems like the only way to get attention these days is to, the shock effect of everything. And so it really has so much less to do with the music and more to do with shock value, shiny object over here, shiny object over there.
Yeah.
How do you gain traction in a world that is like that? I'm asking you like if you answer this question for the
like
record,
I'm a sociology professor.
We're gonna both go make billions of dollars.
Yeah, no, I don't think you can gain traction without just being yourself and being consistent. Shock value's fun. We all remember Friday by Rebecca Black. It was great.
My kid, she's 3rd grade now. In 2nd grade, every Friday her teacher played that song for her. And I have begun to play it on Friday mornings driving into school, and I get the dad from the back seat, and I'm like, yes!
See? But the shock value is worn off. It no longer works. No, it's like Butch Walker.
Yeah.
One of my favorite artists, favorite producers, might be my favorite person who works in the music industry. He has a phrase that he likes to say, a hit song is different than a good song.
Yeah.
And he's right. He's right. My interpretation of that is good songs hang around. They stick. They are around forever. And a good song can also be a hit song, but, I'm not coming back to certain artists that I listened to, when I was growing up. There's some that I'm like, oh, yeah, like, the time has passed. That ship has sailed. But, and hit songs, they kind of just have that staying power. And in today's music industry, I think that's what people are going for. They're going for the hit factory. Like, we'll make a quick buck and then we'll be done.
Yeah.
And I see it on Spotify. I see it on Apple Music all the time. Like, the trending top 40 it's shuffling, and a song that comes out that is just an absolute banger on the radio. I think that's what the kids say now, or bangers.
Banger,
or the song slaps, yeah.
I haven't even heard slaps.
I think I've heard that lately, like, oh, this slaps. It's like, what does that even mean? Like, yeah, okay, I guess. But it's like, it bums me out because it's like, man, nobody's writing anything that wants to stick around anymore.
Yeah.
And that's disheartening.
Because I think you and I have talked about Tom Petty before, where he was writing good songs that were also hit songs.
Mm-hmm.
If Tom Petty were releasing music today,
no,
he would get nowhere.
No, he's buried under the avalanche of of continual releases, and that's another thing. It's like, man, if you're somebody like me, if you're somebody who isn't being paid exclusively to write music, like, being consistently creative is hard. Mm-hmm. You go to work, you're burnt out from your workday. That stinks. So you get home and you try to write and nothing happens. You get frustrated and it puts you off for a couple days. And, in that couple days, Justin Bieber had, a team of 17 people all come up with 3 different songs, and he's got a plan to release them in the next 3 months.
And millions of dollars to do it.
And millions of dollars to do it. And, unlimited income. And that, So staying consistent is so hard sometimes. And that, and the constant creation, the content creation, it's like, man, it's an oversaturated thing where I think if you truly are just focusing on writing good songs, like, good songs will always win out. They will always cut through. Is it going to get you a stadium tour? Probably not. But maybe it gets you a tour where you're selling out venues the size of the Bluebird. Or, maybe it gets you to I'm making $60K a year just playing music. Maybe it gets you there. And if it gets you there, you've done something. You've done it. Like, there's so many people that I think would just be so happy to get to that point.
Oh, yeah.
With playing music or being an artist or a painter. Like, if you could just live on it, I don't think everybody on the planet wants stadium tours or wants the invasive amount of fame that comes with that. So,
well, I think, I'm 40, and I've said this before on the show, like, I have no delusions of grandeur, but
no,
I can't not play music. But somewhere in the back of my head, it's this, like, something from your 20s where it's like, but you're not going to be a rock star. You're not going to be super famous.
Yeah.
Why does that matter? And why? Because I don't think I'm the only one who has that voice. Why do we do that to ourselves when it's just like, I just enjoy doing this?
Yeah, I'm starting to get a bald spot on the back of my head. So hats, hats are becoming a thing for me, So definitely I'm no longer attractive enough to be dropped in front of a crowd and where it's like, this is a rock star. No. I think we do it because, that's what society has taught us makes a successful musician. But it's like, man, like, how many songwriters are present in a writing room for a major label artist? I have a super talented friend, Olivia Rudine. She lives in Nashville, writes music for a living. And she's written some incredible music that I'm just like, wow. And she writes for other artists. And I'm like, man, you're onto something. But it's like people listen to the songs she's written with a different name and face attached to them.
Yeah.
And nobody thinks about her as a songwriter. And that kills me because I'm like, well, if you only knew and cared to dive deeper into this artist's catalog, you'd find some gold. You'd find stellar gold. She has a song called Brooklyn Dodgers that it easily ranks in my top 10 favorite songs of all time. Of all time. And it's stunning. And I can't get over it because I'm like, I'm waiting for a major label artist to sit there and go, oh yeah, I need that song.
Yeah.
What's it going to take for me to, like, I'll write you the check. Or I'll just give you the blank check and you tell me how much it's going to cost for me to cut that. So, yeah, that's what kills me is like, and I think songwriters as of late have kind of had enough of it where it's like, hey, we're getting dumped on a little bit. Like I'm giving you something that puts you on a stadium tour.
Yeah.
And sells it out. And I'm getting kicked in the teeth a little bit on the back end.
What's my percentage on that?
Right,
and licensing fees that come afterward.
Right. It's like most people don't know. I think it's Garth Brooks covered "When the Stars Go Blue" by Ryan Adams.
Oh, it was Tim McGraw.
Tim McGraw. I mixed those two up. Tim McGraw's the one in The Blind Side, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, I'll never make that mistake again. But, he covered "When the Stars Go Blue." And Tim McGraw's a huge name. Huge music name. Ryan Adams, from all intents and purposes, people still can't distinguish between him and Bryan Adams.
Yeah. Except there was that legal issue that he had.
Yeah, super fun, though. Ryan's had some issues in the past, but, he's still pretty obscure, and he's one of the most prolific songwriters
absolutely
of all time, maybe. Like, nobody has cut as many records in my lifetime as maybe Ryan Adams has. And it blows my mind. And it's like, man, like, apparently oversaturating the market as an indie level artist doesn't do anything for you either. So
yeah, and that's a guy who's paying the bills easily.
Yeah, sells out Red Rocks every time he comes through. But
obscure. No one.
Pretty
Did
obscure.
You say Brian? I haven't heard that guy since the 80s.
Yeah, Bryan Adams.
Totally different guy.
Yeah, totally different. No, but it's like, he's paying the bills.
Yeah.
But it's still not enough to make him a household name. It's still not enough for people to be like, oh, he's not my version of successful.
Yeah.
So
well, and with the way things are fragmented so much now, with where you get music, where you get news, all of these different avenues, is it impossible now to become a household name, or does it just take millions and millions of dollars?
Man, I wish I knew the answer to that.
I do too, because then you could turn me into a household name.
Well, yeah. But at that point, do you even want to be a household name?
No,
anymore?
probably not, because it's back to what we were just saying, like that amount of attention and societal hate on social media, etc. I think we're not capable of handling hate at scale. I don't think.
I don't think any person is really, and cancel culture comes into play then, if you're so big, like somebody's looking to take you down.
Yeah.
Because whether you and I sitting here want to admit it, we've probably upset somebody in the past who, if they saw us at the Grammys, they'd be like, oh, I got something on this guy. And it's like, whoa, man, like that stinks. And it's like, so it turns out fame is horrible. Fame's horrible. I can't, kind of dragging back to Michael Jordan. Like, is Michael Jordan everybody's favorite basketball player if social media is around in the 90s? I don't think so.
Oh,
There's
not
no way.
Social media.
No, every parent would be like, "How Michael Jordan's a horrible person. I'm not buying you his shoes. Like, I don't even want you wearing his jersey." Like, there's the whole gambling thing. Apparently, he's just a horrible person to his teammates, and that's okay. Like, he was successful at what he did back then, but that doesn't fly now.
It's a very militant structure to get to success.
Yeah. And it's like, what is it going to take? And I feel like that's where we are now as an artistic community, where it's like, there's not a lot of supporting each other. There's a lot of who can I get one over on.
Yeah.
And it goes down to really popular artists not giving writing credit for songs that are clearly inspired by.
Which happened to Butch Walker.
Yep. Butch. And then Olivia Rodrigo is another one that comes to mind for me.
That's right. She had a couple months there that were pretty rough because the cover of her album looked like the one from Hole.
And then there was Good For You, like the biggest song on her record after Driver's License. You can't tell the difference between that and Misery Business by Paramore.
Yeah.
It's the same song. Yeah. And the mashups on YouTube are awesome. Don't get me wrong. But, it's like, give credit where it's due. Like, support each other.
Yeah.
Like, just because you have Disney money doesn't mean Paramore has Disney money. And Paramore's pretty successful, but they don't have Disney money.
Well, and where does that line come in? Because this isn't... I'm making you the expert on all of these things.
Yeah.
Where does the line come in between, this was inspired by, and wow, you basically just took the same song?
Ding, 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 ding.
No, but this one says
right. I mean, is there really a difference? No musical arrangement is unique anymore. It's all been done.
It's numerically impossible.
Right. You'd have to throw your guitar horribly out of tune and find a way to make it melodically appeasing for it to be unique. You'd have to smack a piano in half and hopefully create an appealing sound out of that for it to be unique. So it's all been done before. And I mean, a lot of people think familiarity in music's a bad thing. Like, this person kind of sounds like this. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Like, I have, Sam Paul, incredible songwriter here in Denver, writes fearlessly. He is the definition of a fearless writer to me, where he just writes what he wants to write. And I love everything he's written. And we were leaving one night, and we'd seen him play. We were leaving, and my wife turns to me and she goes, "He kind of reminds me of Cake." And I was like, man, that's awesome. And that's like maybe a comparison that people would shy away from. Like, Cake is kind of unorthodox. Some of the songs they write are awkward at times, but awkward's a feeling that we all have. Why not feel it when you're listening to a song?
Sure.
And we shared that with Sam eventually, and he was like, actually, I like that comparison. And it's like, man, like, why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you can't, it's almost like you can't win and you can't lose anymore, because if you do it right and you're nice and just be nice. Be nice. Don't burn bridges. Just find a way to market yourself and be nice and find a way to support somebody else. Because, man, if you're nice, maybe someone remembers you for that, and it opens up another door for you somehow.
I love that marketing lesson.
I think that's it.
Let's take a break and listen to Why'd It Have to Be. Now, I do know just a scotch about this song.
Yeah.
Do we know someone who filmed the video for this?
Yeah. Seth
Beamer, who was on the show last week, did the video, and is that on YouTube?
It is, yeah.
Awesome. Do you want to give us a little insight into this before we play it?
Yeah, I actually wrote this song, and it was co-produced by Andy Sitto and Randall Kent, so two really close friends of mine. And Andy is responsible for playing the sweet slide guitar on it. And,
awesome.
So Seth did the music video, and the song is really just about, you date someone and then they dump you and they start dating the person that you were afraid of them dumping you for.
Uplifting music from Ian Mahan. Here we go. Why'd it have to be? Ian Mahan on kpeo.org.
Why is my son having trouble in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with my son over his homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No, he's smart, but his mind wanders.
7 wonders of the world.
Why don't you understand me?
I do. I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Odell Stroud. You may remember me as the police officer from the Rockies Autos commercials. You are listening to KPEO Radio.
Broadcasting live from the mile-high city of Denver, Colorado, and KYBN Mountain View, California. This is KPEO World Community Radio. You're listening to the Alex Rhodes Show.
Always knew this day would come. Thought it was something you'd be running from. Fluttered away like a feather in the wind, not saying it had to be me, but why'd it have to be him? Romeo and Juliet, when we were kids, from 2 different worlds, our love was forbidden. You got it right when you said I'd never be much. I got a dead-end job and it don't pay enough. Always knew this day would come. Thought it was something you'd be running from. Fluttered away like a feather in the wind, not saying it had to be me, but why'd it have to be him? He looks good when you dress him up nice, and I'm sure you melt when you look in his eyes. Well, he's done well, so I bet he buys you things. All you caused was that diamond ring. I still drive that beat up car. Still get drunk at the same old bar. Still wearing my shoes till the soles wear thin. You could say that I'm nothing like him. Always knew this day would come. Thought it was something you'd be running from. Fluttered away like a feather in the wind, not saying it had to be me, but why'd it have to be him? Not saying it had to be me, but why'd it have to be him? Not saying it had to be me, oh, but I wish it was.
Ian Mahan on kpeo.org. You're listening to the Alex Rhodes Show. It's Monday night. We bring in independent musicians and talk about music tonight. Ian is here. Let's talk about, you've opened for some pretty big name acts.
Yeah.
Tell us who a few of those people are and how, this show is really more about me. How do I get shows like that? But how would another musician go about doing something like that?
Yeah. So I think it tracks back to the first segment or the last segment where I said maybe just be nice, but also I'm super annoying. I will bother a booking agent all day. No, so I've opened for I've been pretty grateful to be able to open for some of these artists. Lisa Loeb is one of them. Really, she was the OG independent songwriter who really broke it, like the first one to have a Billboard top single.
In love with Lisa Loeb in the 90s. The glasses.
Are people not in love with her anymore?
I don't know how you could. Pamela Makala, who was on the show a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
she's opening for her in a couple weeks.
Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty great. So I've opened for her. Lewis Watson, he's a really, really popular YouTuber back in the day, but he's incredible songwriter, incredible artist, and he's opened for Harry Styles and Ed Sheeran and stuff like that over in London. And
Wow.
Then, I have opened for Stu Larsen, who kind of runs in the Passenger and Ed Sheeran camp as well, and then Vanessa Carlton, who. Yeah.
I love that riff.
Yeah, it's one of the greatest song riffs I think ever written. So it's beautiful. But
I'm gonna listen to that on my way home.
yeah, you have to. You have to. And then I will send you this video. Someone made like a TikTok of that song over a part of the Super Bowl halftime show, where when she starts singing, Snoop is dancing across the stage, which is great. But yeah, and Vanessa's one of the sweetest, most kind people I think I've ever had the chance to meet. So yeah, there's been some. I've been fortunate to do that, but some of it's been luck. Some of it, I think, has been, really caring about. Hey, like, I wrote these songs. Will you give me a shot to open for you?
What does that approach look like, and who are you approaching?
Most of the time, talent buyers for venues. Tony Mason is a pretty big name here in Denver, and he's been instrumental in giving smaller bands and indie bands shots to open for acts. I think it was like a Monday, I got an email from him, and he was like, "Hey, next Thursday, I need an opener for James McCartney, Paul McCartney's son." And he was like, "Do you want to do it?" I was like, "Yeah.
I can probably figure that out."
Yeah, sure. Any plans I had Thursday, let me reschedule my kidney transplant or something, like whatever it is. But yeah, it's, and all that goes to show, like, and I kind of alluded to this earlier and kind of touched on it. Like, we live in such a gimme world that it's like, this is the trick, I think, is if you just are a little conscientious of the other people involved in making the things happen for you that are happening, you'll do fine. Like, I'll give a booking agent or a manager for an artist if they booked me for that show or something, like Starbucks gift card, $5, hey, thanks for giving me a shot. Really appreciate it. Or, if you work with a talent buyer in your hometown or your home city a lot, if you work with them, maybe at the end of the year, around the holidays, drop them off, like, their favorite bottle of tequila or whiskey, something just to show, like, thank you for giving me the shot that you've given me.
Yeah.
And that's, I try to live that way, I think, in general. I have a weird relationship with money where for me it's like money can always be made. It's, there's an old Irish drinking song called The Parting Glass.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a line in it that says, "Of all the money I ever had, I spent it in good company." And man, that's just kind of a nice way to want to live.
That is good.
Now,
I don't know if it was you. Someone had told me this line about money recently where it's like manure. If you stack it up, it stinks. If you spread it all around, stuff grows.
Yeah, I buy that. My wife and I, we had a conversation about money. Like, what's the point in having a lot? Is it so that you can do these like really uppity things? Like having money for security is great. Like having it for those reasons is awesome. Great. Be secure. But like, I don't know. Like I have a ton of friends that it's like, oh, I just bought a Tesla with my copious amounts of money. And it's like, well, I have a guitar that's worth more than my car, but like,
I want. Have you driven a Tesla?
yeah, and
they're super fun.
They're cool. I mean, I hate cars though.
But you have such a cool photo in this cool car.
Well, yeah, but like that would be a dream car for me, like a 1987 BMW or a 1980s Volvo. Like that's a dream car for me because I'm like, great, I can drive it into a curb if I want to, and nothing will happen to it.
Mine's the 2004 Volvo Cross Country.
Oh, yeah.
I just thought that
was that like the first like little hatchback thingy they did after the wagons that they did? Yeah.
No, it's the wagon.
Okay.
It's the big wagon, but it's got the 4-wheel drive and it's got a lift.
It's not the one Edward Cullen is driving in Twilight, is it? I hope
Never
not.
saw Twilight.
There's a Volvo he drives.
Could be.
Man, those Twilight movies are good. You're sleeping on them.
I missed that.
You should watch them. Soundtracks, great too.
Oh, the soundtracks were huge.
They're so good. Death Cab?
Yeah. Ben Gibbard.
So good. But yeah, I mean, it's, for me, it's, it's like I said, I like supporting, all the people that kind of make the Denver music scene what it is, it's fun being able to see friends and have them be really talented. I love having really talented friends. You know, it's cool for me because like I think that's my version of wealth. Is like, oh, I'm feeling bummed. Oh, but I have a friend who wrote a song about something like this. Maybe I'll listen to that.
Yeah. I think, to your point about supporting people, Andy Sito comes up on this show all the time.
Yeah. Hard not to bring him up.
I mean, speaking of nice people who are really talented, but he had a show at the Ogden.
Yeah.
And he told me about it, and I was like, oh, I'm completely buying a ticket to the Ogden to see you play.
No,
Holy cow,
he gave you a ticket, didn't he?
No, I bought it.
Okay,
I definitely
good.
bought it. Because I'm...
He tries to do that all the time where like it's like, yeah, I'll come see you all the time. And he's like, great, I can, I'll give you a ticket. It's like, no, I'll buy a ticket.
I'm buying the ticket to see you because I want them to know that I came to see you.
Right.
And I think it's hard for some folks to understand who aren't musicians. That guy who opens up at the Ogden, that's huge.
Huge for them.
Huge. And when you're the friend of the guy who goes to see that show, you're like, I know a guy who's playing in front of 1,000 people tonight. Yeah. That's a big gig.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no surprise Andy comes up on the show all the time. He's super instrumental in Denver. He has horrible taste in baseball teams, but it's I'll give him a pass for that one.
He's got his own podcast. I'll even plug that.
I know. Yeah. Middle class rock star.
Yeah. I got to get him on here. We'll talk about his podcast.
You could like trade war stories on.
Did you have Ian on your show too?
Yeah, it's not good. He tried to drag me through the mud for being a Cubs fan. He's a Cincinnati Reds fan. And in the World Series in 2016, he was rooting for the Cleveland now Guardians. I won't say their former name because it was one of the most hideous logos in all of sport and super racially insensitive. And I'm like, man, how do you do that? Anyway, he tried to drag me for being a Cubs fan. I was like, yeah, but we still won, man. I hope you were upset. Andy, I love you if you're listening. I'm sorry.
So, and it sounds like from what I've heard, for getting quote unquote in the scene or getting these shows at venues, it's like this from town to town across America. Be a human, be thoughtful and kind to the person who's booking you, because that guy, that's not his only job.
No.
He's doing 100 other things, and he's saying, can you come do this? And can I rely on you to show up and not make anybody mad?
Right. Like, be on time to sound checks. Be on time to load ins. Like, do all these things that because you never know who's watching. And you could be making someone's day really, really hard by being late to a sound check or a load in. Like, that could suck for somebody.
Yeah.
Really, really bad. It's like, man, I know I'm going to have to do this to the sound equipment, and this band is 45 minutes late or 30. And it's like, man, that's not fun for anybody. And it just makes it look like you don't have any idea what you're doing. And that is a bummer. It's and it's, there's so much that goes into putting on a good show, and sound guys and lighting guys are, sound people and lighting people, they're so good at what they do. Even bartenders at venues, man, they put up with so much, so much. And, there's always the stigma of bands don't tip. And it's like, man, if I could give a cut of a show to the bartenders all the time, yeah, you bet.
Tip your bartenders.
Tip your bartenders.
And your waiters and waitresses.
Man.
Did you ever work in service?
Yeah. I worked for the coffee giant, not to be named, for about 10 years.
Yeah.
And holy moly, nothing is worse than being treated like utter dirt.
It's the service industry and retail. It's and I've worked in both those industries.
Yeah,
People can be rough.
Yeah, they can.
So just be
nice. Be nice. Be nice to people.
I think we've got the theme for the show.
Yeah, be nice. I hope everyone learned how to be nice. Sponsored by the letter N for nice.
Ian, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Thank you for having me. It has. And we need to get you back over to my quote-unquote room studio for another co-write.
Right on.
Let's do it.
You'll have to come over to mine maybe
Absolutely.
next time.
Anytime.
Ian Mahan on kpeo.org. You can find him on Instagram, Ian Mahan Tunes, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't actually really know. I think it's... no, I don't know.
What's your website?
www.ianmahan.com. There you go. That's my website. Everything else is there.
IANMAHAN. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that wraps up my interview with Ian Mahan. I want to thank Ian one more time for coming by the studio, and I want to thank you for listening to the Alex Rhodes Show and supporting independent artists. If you like this podcast, give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Give us a high ranking and rating on your podcast platform of choice. Next week, Luisa Bicio. See you guys then. Thanks.